Hello and welcome to the NxtGen Racing Clio Cup from Silverstone Classic. Cars are not taking their time coming out of the pits. And NGR Fraser is the first out onto the track, so... Silverstone Classic, not a track I really know, but I'm sure we will learn it here. So to take you through the championship standings, NGR Omega, if he is here, yeah, he is the championship leader. He has a massive 52-point lead over RS Gem. NGR Scooby G and WRT Scott McFall are both on the same points, with Edu 1 point behind them. Fraser 2 points behind Edu and Cam 1 point behind them, so there's a big battle on from 3rd down to 7th, with again 8th to 10th separated by just 11 points. So NGR Fraser is going to be first to complete a lap here, so we will... Oh, as he drifts it through that corner, we will go on board with him and watch a lap as he starts it. As you can kind of tell where this was on the old track. I'm going to a tight right, left, right, I believe, yeah. And then onto the pit straight. So we're going to go into turn 1 here. What does he do? Hit the brakes down to 4th. Oh, a big slide for him there. But he keeps it on track, controls it. A flat out left. To another relatively hard braking right. This time he doesn't slide it. 3rd hits the apex, powers out the corner nicely. Stays to the left for this corner, flat out again. Onto what I think is the hangar straight. Because this is obviously the classic version, so you can kind of see where the new track is. And this is probably the longest straight on the track. Down into what would be Vale. No, that's not Vale. Still, my apologies. Gets another slide on. Of course, this is a stock setup league, so they cannot change any of this. They can change their assists, but that is it. Gets it right this time. This is where we saw him slide on his outlap. Another flat out left, so generally quite a fast track, this one. And it's coming now towards that right, left, right section, the last couple of corners. Kind of reminds me of the last corners at Thruxton as he gets another slide. It looks like he has a car behind him. And that would be NGR Martin, who has gone 6 tenths faster than him, but then Scott McFall goes 11 thousandths faster than him. And then NGR Omega goes 1.6 seconds faster than Jim, who went half a second faster than WRT Scott. So the times are absolutely flying in right now. Obviously RDJ and NGR Mad Marshall and Greener Army clearly not getting great laps in to start with. Shockshaft, what's he going to do as he comes across the line? He goes 7th. Edu, he's in traffic. Shadowstalker hasn't left the pits yet. So is Edu on a lap? Edu is... Oh, we can't quite see there, but we're going to stick with him just in case he is. The cars ahead might be helping him because he might just be in the slipstream range here. at the moment. It is a massive lead at the top of 1.6 seconds. Either that's just a ridiculous lap, or lots of the others haven't done what they quite can, as cars are getting out the way for redo. Presumably on out laps, or cool down laps. Zidu does the chicane very nicely, not quite sliding like we saw Fraser doing it. And where does he go? He goes 7th again, 2.7 seconds off. So NGR Omega, he's coming round again. Is he going to improve? No, he doesn't improve this time. NxtGen is very close to someone with Scooby behind. That presumably is NxtGen's teammate, if we can find who that is. No, I must have skipped him, apologies. But either they've just happened to find each other, or I suspect they will be using the slipstream tactic like we see Ferrari do a lot in F1. Oh, it's Omega that's his teammate as he gets a big slide on in front of him. Will anyone beat that 38.7? As Omega releases Gem. So is Gem going to be on to a good lap here? That must have been a planned move by the time he's moved at the end of that straight. These cars look very slidey on their default setups. I'm not sure what tyres they're on or what selection they have in the Clios, but whether it's just one type of slick or whether I have a choice of two. Gaining on the cars ahead. So he does the chicane beautifully. No oversteer at all, nails the apexes, has lots of speed through it, and does a 39.5. And a bit of a no man's land there between Omega and Scooby, who is now in the pits, so who else is coming up to finish up? As Martin's off the track. RDJ, does he improve? No. Mad Marshall, neither does he. Shockshaft is coming towards the end of a lap, but it looks quite leisurely. Of course, he has 5.1 seconds off, so a half solid lap might just be an improvement for him. That might have been an out lap. So at the moment there's a lot to play for between 3rd and 9th, with just a second separating 7 cars. We'll stay with Martin as the car front sends some of the bollards flying. Go for a bit of a track that basically gets a little slide through the chicane. We're seeing lots of sliding from these cars today. Is he going to improve at all? 40.8? No, he hasn't. So NxtGen and Scooby are both happy with their laps. As RDJ, is that coming or exiting the pits? Either way, he's stopped on track. I assume that's the entry to the pits, yeah, because that's around the last few corners. So NGR Mad Marshall himself is coming up to the line we just saw in the back. Oh, he's abandoned that one as he was on the grass. So all the cars are quite tightly spread around the lap. So there's a big train going down this straight, which includes Fraser and one of our top 2. That would be Omega. As we've had someone else join, lights are getting flashed, presumably either just for fun or do they signify I'm on a lap, get out the way. So who's at the front of this gaggle? Is Scott McFall? Is he on a lap? I don't see the sector times unfortunately in this mode, but we'll stay with him just in case. He's certainly pushing through the chicane. As apparently Fraser has had about 6 laps invalidated. Omega's coming into the pits. Obviously some drivers must be practicing the stops, as we have had ILTL join. So NxtGen's coming around the last corner. Let's go on board with them, see how much they are moving this steering wheel around. Probably not got a great idea of it from here, but we'll just see how slidey these cars are. So you did have to make a small correction into the corner. And what speeds can they reach at the end of this straight? So he's about to shift into 6th gear. It's going to be about 125-ish. Although there's quite a few revs left, so hopefully slipstreaming down that straight will provide some good overtaking. As he's backed out of that one. On board with Edu as he does the pit entry as well. A lot of drivers practicing this pit entry, but of course tyre wear is on in this league. But still, NGR Omega just has that 9/10ths gap at the top, which no one seems to be able to touch. Jim is his closest challenger, but he's just shy of being a second off. Fraser gets very tight through that corner. Scott coming out of the pit lane. Martin's up on his lap, so we'll stick with him. He's up by a 10th. That wouldn't do much to his position, but if he can find a bit more in this back half of the lap, he could jump up into 4th or maybe even 3rd. It looks like 1st and 2nd are out of reach for most of the drivers. So he's going to come around this corner and come to the sector 2 split. See if he's gained or lost any more time. As he's 2/10ths up now, that's going to put him right in the range for 4th place. So all he's just got to do is get this last chicane right, and he could maybe gain 2 places. Looks like he's on for 1 if he can just keep it clean. So he rides that curb. This chicane must be very, very tight for the drivers at that last part. Oh, and he only improves by 0.08 of a second, not enough to gain him any places, but that 0.08 could become crucial at the end. NGR Mad Marshall's coming round to the end. 2/10ths would put him up ahead of RDJ as he goes 4.7 slower. Must have had a back out lap or something go wrong on that one. Greener Army's 1.8 down. Shock Shaft looks like he's made a mess of that one. Edu has a... Oh, Edu... Is it going to hold it? Yet the front wheel drive there probably helped him hold that one, but if that was a hot lap, it's gone now. So Omega's coming round. I was wondering there were him and Jim slipstreaming. But no, he's 1.8 down. NxtGen's going to come round to the first split. We'll see if he's up or down. He's 3/10ths down. So we've got a gaggle of cars coming round to the start. Who are they? Edu, of course. It must have been an outlap for him as he's a minute down. So NxtGen. It's 3/10 down in the first part. As soon as we've given him no airtime, we'll go to ILTL since he's just come out the pits. Some very nice liveries being displayed by these Clios. Not a car I drive much, but nice looking cars. There's again a big slide. Presumably just tire temperature's a big issue for these guys. Getting the, as someone does it again in the background, getting rear temperature will be very hard being front wheel drive cars. As you can see there, he's piling on more and more opposite lock through the corner. So there's braking boards flying across the track there as someone's on the grass. That presumably is where that's come from. As he's going to come around the final chicane. Oh, he nearly rolled it and he has lost it. He's just held it, but he's going on to hot lap. That's not going to help the start of it. We'll stay with him to see what he does. What sort of lap time he can do. Again, you can see the corrections through the corner. Not very hard to see because of the black wheels, but you can just see. So he's got a queue behind him. Presumably not helped by that moment in the last chicane. That would have let everyone catch up to him, and he just passed a car there. That car is letting everyone else go. As he's run a tad wide through that corner. What would be now Maggots and Beckett's. And this would be Chapel. So everyone will be slipstreaming each other and he'll be getting pushed along from the cars behind. Oh, and he's properly got off that corner, as is the car behind him. And that lap, as he's got NGR Scooby G behind. And then Omega as well, so two of the fastest people on the track behind you. When you haven't even set a time yet, the pressure must be quite high on that one. So he's 2/10 down. What's Scooby G doing? Will he improve? Or is he on an outlap? Haven't quite caught it. It would be nice for the game to tell us, but you can see a lot of the little bollards have been taken out of the chicane. That must make it a lot easier for the drivers. Oh, NxtGen, I was going to see if he was improving, but... Oh, and we go on to Edu again, and he's losing it. Omega's clearly happy with what he's done because he's in the pits and won't have time to come back out. As Jamie F430 joins, it'll be tight for him as to whether he gets in or not. How Shadow Slot we're doing through the second sector. Must be an outlap again. We keep happening to catch the people on outlaps. We're coming towards the second sector line with Jim, but of course he was stopped, so this is presumably also an outlap for him. More sliding. Scott McFall's coming up towards the last couple of corners. Will he improve? Third place is up for grabs for him here. As the car ahead of him loses it, that's got to be distracting as he's had to take a wider line through that corner. And no, he doesn't improve, but he will have time for one more lap if the tyres will hold on. That's not going to help him as he's off at turn 1. ILTL is coming up towards the last corners. He set a 147.9, but as we saw, that was not a good lap. So we'll see where he can put himself in the mix. She crossed the line and only went to 6 seconds slower. So who is coming up towards the last corner? And your Fraser's off. It's Edu, and he's got someone right behind him. Edu jumps up to 4th right at the death. That was tight for him, but he's severely improved his starting position. Oh, we have 3 more cars to set a time. No. Scott McFall's done. Shadowstalker looks like... Oh, I was about to say the only one left to set a time, but that's not going to be a great one. As it looks like his session is over. As Mad Marshall looked like he was oh, he's lost it as well. As it looked like all these guys were cruising, but... He's going to pull over and presumably return to the pits. Or a practice start. The car fairly bogs down once it's done the initial stage, but that's to be expected. This is now going to do a practice pit entry. That's not how you do it if you are practicing. As it looks like someone smashed through that barrier. Let's hope we don't see any of that in the race. As there is only 1 car left on track, and that is Edu's AI. But it will only be 8 seconds, that will take us to the race. So, excuse me if I do get names wrong in the race. I'm relatively new to the Clios, and as you can see, there are a lot of people with either NGR or WR, so it's understandable. But NGR Omega takes a very convincing pole position by 9/10 of a second over his teammate Jim, who is then a further 8/10 of a second ahead of Scooby G, with the pack behind him being very close of Edu, Scott McFall and Martin, followed by RDJ, Mad Marshall and Shadowstalker. Shockshaft took 11th, Greener Army took 12th, and I'll after his late join took 13th. Hopefully he'll be hoping he can make some places up in the race after having limited running time in quali. As they're all syncing up as the cars start very packed together on this grid. So they all get away. A very bad start there from RSGem as 2 cars bump together. It's NGR Martin. Oh, as Martin gets a big hit there. We'll move further back, see if anything erupts back here. They all seem to have behaved relatively well. ILTL's already made up 2 places. And NGR Omega has lost his lead to Edu. Edu's had a great start there, up from 4th to 1st. RDJ's on the grass. Don't know what's happened to him. We missed that. As they're all coming up through the hangar straight. Very, very gaggled bunch of cars. As Edu feels the need to defend from Omega and RSGem. It looked like someone was going wide there. Might have just deceived me, but back to front, Edu has Omega trying a look at the inside. He might have just put Edu onto the worst line here, but he's got the inside for the left, but it's a flat out corner. As Gem's almost bump drafting Omega up through this corner. Is Edu just going to keep it? There's thousandths between them at this point. Oh, and that's a fair old crash up the back. Oh, and someone's collected them as well. That looked like it involved Matt. And there's another car off. Looks like Martin, Shockshaft, Scooby G, and Mad Marshall were all involved in that big, big crash there. But Edu has still managed to hold on to his lead. Of course, he has Omega, Jim, Fraser, and Scott all right behind him. This is going to be a good job for him to try and keep the lead from this 5. This train of 5 even, 4 cars behind him. And ILTL has made a great lap one. He's up to 6th, courtesy of a good start and all those cars crashing. course, NGR Martin was the biggest loser out of all that, down to last place. But we skip away for 1 second and Omega's managed to pass Edu. Unfortunately, we've missed that, but RS Gem's alongside him now as they bang doors. Oh, and Gem's been put onto the grass with that. Gem's got the inside, but Edu managed to swoop round the outside, but he's gone a bit too fast in as he's gone onto the grass. Has got straight over to the right hand side to cover from Gem. But you think Gem would just have enough momentum to try and do it, but oh, as they get very close again. And Scott McFall now is getting involved in it, as he's past RS Gem. And he's going to be alongside Edu. So these three are very, very close, and it looks like Fraser's getting close too. Who's going to stick it out? RS Gem just throws it down the inside. Edu's got slightly offline, so he'll try and keep ahead of Fraser, but no, that's Scott even. Scott's got a better run than him. And he's going to surely have it down into turn 1 here, unless Edu can swoop it round the outside again like he did to Gem once or twice. Which it looks like he might... Oh, as they bang! They've held it. Where's that put Fraser? Fraser, who is past Scott, but it doesn't look like he's got an Edu, no. ILTL's probably looking at all of this thinking, come on boys, keep this up and I'll be involved. This is a mega battle all the way down from 2nd to 6th now. As NGR Martin will be looking to try and get back through the pack with Shockshaft right in front of him and Mad Marshall in front of him, so he could have 2 positions very soon. But we'll get back to this lot at the front and we'll try and keep an eye on it. Edu has Fraser. No, it's not Fraser. Well, that's RS Gem, sorry. I thought Gem had broken away. He had a 4/10 gap last I looked, but is Edu going to go round the outside of him again? This is a crazy battle developing. As Martin's name has come up in red, I'm not quite sure why. Not sure what that means, so I apologise for not knowing that. But Edu keeps it again, as they get very, very close again. As NGR Martin's looking to go round the outside of Mad Marshall into the last corner. That's a brilliant move. Greener Army is watching RDJ and Scooby G all battling. Scooby G, of course, qualifying quite high up, but finds himself down in 8th place. He was involved in that mayhem on the first lap as RDJ and Greener Army collide there, but RDJ comes out on top of it. NGR Fraser now challenging Edu, so Jim's fallen back a little bit in this battle. As just as I said, ILTL has joined the battle. He's now only 7/10 behind Jim. As Edu and Fraser are side by side. Scott McFall heads 4 wide here. As Jim backs out and decides it would be stupid to do that. Oh, as Fraser makes a big, big mess of that. Edu manages to just cut off Jim. But is he going to have enough to get down the inside of Fraser? He will, as Fraser is now going to lose out to Scott and potentially Jim and maybe even IATL. No, he manages to keep it, and he might even come back at Jim here. But ILTL's recovered that and has an amazing run on the pair of them. But this part of the track with 2 wide in front of him, he probably doesn't have anywhere to go. As Greener Army and RDJ appeared to let him go there. Not sure what that was for. But we're going to stick with this battle as Edu's managed to break away a little bit. 8/10 he's got. So this seems to be the main battle on the track. As a couple of the cars just kick up some dirt there. They've gone a little bit wide through the first corner. As Edu's had gone a little bit deep there. And NxtGen seems to have done it a bit wrong, as ILTEL looks like NxtGen's left it out. I'm not sure what that's about. Not quite sure what's happened to Jim there, but he seemed to lose a lot of time. He was off the throttle, and he's now almost 2 seconds behind ILTEL. In fact, he will be over 2 seconds by the time they've gotten to the end of the straight. NGR Martin is now getting involved with Greener Army and RDJ, because he wants to go around the outside, but he finds a big green Clio blocking him. Oh, it looks like he's clipped the back of him. He's gone rally crossing, and that's his charge over for the moment. We'll cut back to the battle at the front, where Scott McFall is challenging Edu for that second place. ILTEL is now 2.6 seconds behind this battle, so he's lost a lot of time in it, but NxtGen is closing back in on him, so he will hope to get past ILTEL and get back into this fight. NGR Martin looks like he's got a better run out of the last corner than RTJ, and that should be an easy move down to turn 1, yes, and he'll hope to get Greener Army relatively soon, as it looks like Scott McFall and NGR Fraser are battling it out. So much going on here, I don't know what to choose between. Of course, NGR Fraser is going to... No. NGR Martin, of course, is going to be closing in on Greener Army very soon, but we don't really want to cut away from NGR Fraser and the two WRT boys having a battle. Something's happened to Greener Army as RDJ and Martin have got past him. But still at the front is these two, trying to find their way past Edu. ILTEL has closed it back in a little bit, and NxtGen's not really caught ILTEL. By at front, NGR Omega. He's just absolutely driven away with this race after taking pole by almost a second. He'll be in cruise mode at this moment, but you never know what could happen. Edu's now setting best lap times. So who else is close on track? Greener Army and RDJ, they're kind of close. NGR Martin's just ahead of him, but we will expect he will pull away. So I think that just leaves us with this battle for second to sixth, which is at the moment just the battle for second to fourth, but you expect those two will join back in if these lot keep fighting like they have been. Now Jim has actually closed into ILTEL a lot, 4/10, but he's gone a bit deep into that one. As now Scott and Fraser are side by side. Of course Scott's on the right side, he will have the slipstream from Edu. But it looks like Fraser just had the momentum, a little flash of lights there, not sure what that's to signify, but Fraser has got his way past Scott. RDJ and Greener Army again also seem to be going at it themselves over the 10th place. So they've both gone quite wide into that corner. But NxtGen is very close to ILTEL, and of course we can see the battle in front. Looks like he's got a good slipstream on him and he's got the momentum. Is he going to try and have a go into the last corners? So he tucks up right behind him, pulls out at the last moment. He's backed out of that one, but ILTEL's got a big slide on. As long as he doesn't hold up Jim in the middle of the corner, Jim should have this done. He goes round the outside. Now ILTEL drops back to sixth. Now Jim will hope to try and speed off and catch these three. As NGR Fraser straight away got onto the back of Edu. Edu, who looked like for all of it he was going to qualify down in 10th for most of this qualifying session, but Edu finds himself battling for second. Or what effectively is best of the rest this race behind Omega, who's absolutely storming it. As it looks like he's got Edu at the moment, but it's going to be a case of who has the better momentum down the straight, and that looks like it's Edu at the moment. And Scott might even get involved here as he's going to go down the middle. No, he's backed out of that. They're all being very sensible here. They're all realising we're not even halfway through the race. It'd be silly to do stuff like this. Of course, Fraser was the fastest man on track last lap with a 39.9, the only man in the 39s. As Omega must be cruising, he's on a 40.4 last lap. We'll see what they do this lap. As Edu gets a big slide on. But it seems like in these cars, sliding doesn't really lose you that much time. But that is some rain coming down, so this could spice everything up. That's probably why drivers are practicing their pit stops. We're going to have to see who's going to be the first to jump the gun here, and how long it takes before these drivers really struggle with grip. Fraser's got a really nice run on Edu here as we go on to the long hanger straight. As Edu goes wide, takes Fraser with him, and where's this going to leave Scott? Scott's going to have a run on the pair of them. But like we've seen in the last few laps, is he going to back out? It looks like Edu's down to 4th momentarily out of the lot of them. Oh, and that looked close. But it's Scott who gains the most out of that, and Fraser's probably thinking, I got 1, but I'm still in 3rd, as he now has the other WRT car in front of him to contend with. Oh, not if he does that for much longer. And Edu has a run on Scott, he's completely past him, and Fraser also got a bit wide because of that, and he's gonna... Oh, and they've touched. Fraser has completely lost it. Where's he going to rejoin? He's ahead of, or behind ILTL. He's clearly not happy with that. He's flashing the lights away. Scooby G flashes the lights with him. He's going, I'll join in on this. So clearly he is not happy with that manoeuvre from Edu, but ILTL is up to 4th. Jim is up to 3rd. But Edu could make his way back to 4th with a move on ILTL into turn 1. And that's an easy move for him. But ILTL actually comes back at him. Seems like in these Clios going around the outside is a lot easier than they think. But they're side by side, 2,000 separating them at the moment. Of course, ILTL has the inside here, but it'll become the inside for Edu up to this right-hander. There's Jim's power sliding around the corners. They start banging doors. Now they're going to come onto the hanger straight. Who's going to have the better run? It's Edu just. But ILTL's coming around the outside again. I don't want to cut away from this. There's 2 guys in the pits and I want to know who it is. In fact, it was the people in the bottom 3, I believe. So I assume that's Fraser, Scooby, and maybe Mad Marshall. So I wonder if they've made the call to switch to wet tyres already, because as you can see it's coming down quite hard now. Scooby G goes off. If he is in the wet tyres, maybe they're not giving the grip quite provided yet. So Irish Jim makes the call to pit. Is anyone going to follow him? ILTL pits. Scott pits. Martin doesn't. RDJ is pitting. Shadow Stalker is not. So we're now starting to see the pit stops for drivers presumably switching to the wet tyres. Shock Shaft doesn't follow them in. So What will this mean for the battle for second? Will the early switchers to the wet tyres have an advantage? Or will staying out longer prove to be handy for the likes of Edu and Omega? Because NGR Martin, who obviously was last very early on after that crash, is up to a temporary third. Not sure where that will leave him net, but of course he is one of the drivers staying out on the dries, so we'll see how that plays into the strategy. Scott's out ahead of ILTL. Scooby G's coming round the last corner with Fraser right in front of him. And it looks like they have caught up on ILTL. A little bit. Of course, Omega. Omega now decides it's time to come in. What will Edu do? Is Edu going to follow him in? Of course, they have a back mark in front, but that's really someone who's pitted. Edu follows in. Edu's taking the pit entry far more aggressive than Omega was. Also sliding through it. What's Martin going to do? Surely he's going to come in this lap, or is he going to go risky? He's going risky, he's continuing on. Clearly thinks there's still enough grip for the drives, but they understeer and that's one way of entering the pit lane. So, where is this going to put them compared to NxtGen, who is the furthest forward of the people who have pitted? So we'll keep an eye on it. It's more Edu we want to watch out for, as NxtGen is that lead of that few cars going down the hangar straight. As there's Martin coming in after his unorthodox pit entry. There goes Omega. Edu's been dropped, he's now leaving. NxtGen is coming round the last corners. Is NxtGen going to have Edu here? It looks like he will, so he's going to have the momentum round the outside, and he will. NxtGen takes back his net second place. But it's really close, as Edu is right there. Scott's lost a bit in this battle. ILTL's gone off. Fraser is there. Scooby G. Martin's coming out of the pits. RDJ has gotten ahead of him. Shadow Stalker and Shockshafter are in. Greener Army and Mad Marshall are both cruising around at the back together. At least they've got something to entertain each other, because they're nowhere near anyone else in this race. As Edu and Gem are side by side again, coming down into Stowe. Looks like Gem's held onto a second for now, but Edu's got the tighter line on the exit as Gem goes wide onto the grass. So there's a car off in the background, I think that was ILTL. As Edu himself goes wide, clearly the drivers are struggling to adapt to these wet conditions. As he keeps his foot buried in an attempt to stay ahead of Gem, but Gem's going to have the momentum. Let's not have a repeat of a few laps ago, boys. So ILTL and Scooby and Fraser are all close, but Scooby's gonna battle ILTL into the last corners. He's gonna try and go, and they touch ever so slightly, but Scooby gets the move done. It's gonna be really hard for them now as well, trying to perform these maneuvers, knowing the car on the inside could very well understeer straight into them. Of course, RDJ and NGR Martin, they're relatively close. But was the battle for second down to sec? Looks like it's now battle for 6th, 7th, 5th, and then 2nd and 3rd on their own. So Scott seems to be in a bit of a no man's land, 3 seconds either side of him. If he keeps it clean, he can only move forward from here, hoping Edu and Gem take each other out. But it looks like Gem just has the pace advantage at this moment in time. Still we see Mad Marshall and Greener Army. these three and Jim and Edu seem to be providing all the entertainment at the moment. ILTL, who ran as high up as 4th, I believe, earlier in the race from the back, so given the circumstances, I don't think he'd be happy with 7th, but from the back, you wouldn't say it's a bad result. But now in these wet conditions, it looks like Edu just doesn't have an answer to Jim as he goes really wide out of the last corner. But somehow gained time, although it evened itself out by the end of the straight. As something must have happened to Scott, as he's now 5 seconds behind Edu and only 8 tenths ahead of Fraser. So he's joined the battle all the way from 4th to 7th. Which ILTL has ever so slightly just slipped back from, but I'm sure he'll come back into it at some point. As Fraser sends one of the boardings flying. Edu seems to have set that gap at around 6 tenths. He's going to hope Jem makes a slide somewhere or gets just a bit too aggressive one of those curbs. And yet something definitely happened for Scott last lap, as he was 3 seconds slower than all the cars around him. I'll tell you what, I don't know if it was just cruising or not, but Jem was 1.1 seconds faster than Omega on the last lap. Of course, Omega can cruise at this point. He's got 5 and a little bit laps left and a 5-second lead. He doesn't really need to push, but I'm sure Jim's trying to give it everything he's got. As Scott and Fraser are side by side into the last corners, and Scott backs out of it, so that's Fraser up into 4th. And now can Scooby do anything with this opportunity? So he's gaining on him. But no, he can't do anything with it. Scooby is all over the back of Scott as they're going to come up towards what was Maggots and Beckett's, or what is now Maggots and Beckett's. He looks to the inside, whether they're just trying to dummy him or just put him off. Looks like he's gotten a better exit off of that corner onto the straight, and he's going to have a slipstream off of him. Is he going to be close enough to do anything? It's 1.5 tenths. If he's brave on the brakes, Scott feels the need to just sort of half think about defending it. Doesn't quite though. As he's gone wide though. But going wide in these cars doesn't seem like it loses you that much time. We go back to Edu trying to hunt down Jem as they're going onto the long straight. One of the 2 main long straights on this track. Gaining and gaining ever so slightly. And again, Jem took 1.1 out of Omega last lap. But it was Fraser who was the man on a mission with a 143.9. As old Scooby goes flying up his inside, and somehow they both make it through there. Fraser's got half a chance back here, he's down his inside. As we've seen many times before, going around the outside seems to work, but it doesn't for Scooby on this occasion. As Scott goes very deep into the corner. As Scooby actually had the better run out of turn 1. And it looks like Scott might also get Fraser too. And again, it's all been reversed. Edu seems to be like he can able to match Jim, but he just doesn't have enough to try and find a way past. So it's down to these 3. It looks like Scott has a good run on Scooby out of the corner. Onto this main straight, he's chosen the outside. He's pretty much alongside at this point. Is he going to triangle around the outside? He needs to be wary of Fraser behind him. No, he tucks back in. He's got a slightly tighter line out of the corner. Scooby goes a bit wide, but will he still have enough momentum? Yeah, it looks like he does. As Fraser again, looks like he could have had a move on Scooby there, and he might just do it. Yeah, Scooby's lost at the places to both of them. But he's got a run on Scott. Oh, that was tight. That's where we saw the big crash earlier. 2 of the big crashes. Seems like there's a lot of random light flashing going on in this league. Scott again tucks back into the middle of the pair of them as Fraser takes a very inventive line over the first part of the chicane. However, Edu and Jem, again, that sort of half a second gap is all he can seem to hold it at. Jem again was very quick on the last lap, 8/10 out of Omega's lead. But again, Omega is definitely just taking it easy out the front, as you can see him there in frame, hitting one of the bollards. As Fraser, somehow, as we try and keep an eye on all the battles, has dropped back, and Scott is now at the front of this queue. Scooby's got a bit of a run on Scott here, but it doesn't look like it's enough of a run. Now Scott swoops in and cuts him off. And I'll tell you what. Never mind, I thought I was seeing something there. I thought someone else was about to join the battle. Oh, Scooby and Scott have gone into each other. Scooby is almost completely around, he holds it. Scott keeps his place. Fraser's going to go ahead of Scooby. And Fraser is the big winner out of that. Scott has somehow kept his place though. Oh no, he hasn't, as Fraser's going to go around the outside of him. Is that Scott waiting for Scooby? No, as he's cut in front of him. Thought he might have been waiting, but clearly got a bit of a worse run than I thought. As Edu and Jem are very, very close now. Of course, I'll watch this for a minute, and then those 3 behind me will have just had a massive crash or something that I won't have seen. Of course, and Scott is now at the front with Scooby now going past Fraser. The 2 that crashed are now somehow back ahead of Fraser, as they have 2 laps left. They're holding each other up. A treat, as I'll tell, was 2.5 seconds quicker than the lot of them that lap, so they can't afford to be doing much more than that. Or else they'll be under risk of having a 4th car join this battle. You can hear them bouncing off the limiter. Seems like Jim held off that attack of EG4 now. If Omega's playing it careful, he's definitely doing it a bit too much. Because Jim is within 2 seconds of him, and he was 1.4 seconds quicker on the last lap. But I don't feel that's quite right, because I somehow don't think Edu was 3.6 seconds slower than Jim, so I feel like that doesn't quite work. Unless it does, and I somehow haven't working out right, but we'll go back to this battle for the last podium place. Oh no, it's a battle for 4th, my mistake. So many WRTs and NGRs, it's easy to get confused, but still not sure what the red thing is, but I assume it's maybe because you had a lap time invalidated. Scooby was having a look at Scott there. He's gone in a bit hot. Will that not present a chance to Fraser? Of course, they're on to the final lap now. Everything's going to matter at this point. It's do or die, whether you're happy to stay where you are or you feel you can get more. But Fraser is having a look at Scooby, so that could be one position. Fraser's going to have the inside here, but he won't be able to have the inside for the right, as that will be Fraser's. And Fraser goes ahead, but will Scooby get a better exit out the corner? He has. And Fraser's had the better run onto the straight. Quick check up on these two. Gem still has it. So, unless Gem makes a big mistake, he should keep his second, as Scooby had a bit of a lunge there on Fraser, but never fully committed to it. As Scooby sees Fraser get a big slide on. And RS Gem is right behind Omega, with Edu right behind him. And we're going to see NGR Omega come around the last corner to win this round at Silverstone. And it's going to be really close behind him with Gem and Omega. Gem and Edu, sorry, but Gem just keeps it. And it looks like Scott's going to take it ahead of Fraser and ahead of Scooby. Brilliant battle by these three, which did originally involve Gem and Edu, but never could. ILTL comes from the back to take 7th place. Could have been more, but he can't be too disappointed as he decides to spin it. NGR Martin, who of course was last after lap 1 after being involved in that big crash, will take 8th place. RDJ, taking a souvenir cone with him, will come across the line in 9th. Shockshaft, who had Shadow Stalker kind of stalking him, will come home in 10th, providing he doesn't make an error into the chicane. So Shockshaft takes the 10th place. Shadow Stalker will come behind him to take 11th. Greener Army, who dropped Mad Marshall towards the end of that, as we see Mad Marshall on a unique bit of track. Greener Army has 50 seconds to try and finish this race. He should do it. Whether Mad Marshall will be tight. Oh, he won't do it if he does more of that, but Greener Army will come around the last 2 corners and finish, and that is the end of the race. Apparently Jim has won the race ahead of Omega. I'm not sure if that was real. Edu had a 5-second penalty, that must be what the red is for. He came home in 3rd, Scott in 4th, Fraser in 5th, Scooby with a 1-second penalty in 6th, ILTL 2-second penalty in 7th, Martin came 8th, RDJ 9th, Shockshaft in 10th, Shadow Stalker, Greener Army and Mad Marshall rounding out the grid. So who got the fastest lap? That would have been Fraser with 39.9. So I'll need clarified to me whether Gem did actually win that, whether that was some sort of synchronized team move, but I could have swore Omega won it. So I'm sure all the drivers will be talking amongst themselves about why did you do this, or... Okay, so Omega has just said to me he did win 0.7 seconds ahead of Gem, so clearly that timing screen is misleading us. So it was Omega winning from Gem. That is a correction that the game doesn't understand. So that was race 1. I will be back with you for the start of race 2. Unless I'm wrong and there's not a race 2. Let me just double check. No, I think that is the end of it, so thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you lot having to listen to me babble on for best part of an hour, but hope you all enjoyed that, and bye.